The month of August that we're still in was and is one of the most extraordinary months in UFO history. And it proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that the era we are currently in is not merely a recycling of what happened in the 40s, 50s, and 60s when it comes to UFOs. Now, I know a lot of people like to repeat that talking point, but it's just not a fact. And in fact, it's not even an opinion. It's just flat out false. And I'm going to demonstrate that. Now, there are two reasons that August is historically unique, August 2025, from every month preceding it in all of UFO history. One is there are people who have said things about UFOs that have never broached it on this level or even ever before. And two, there has never been a month where so many people from powerful government positions have spoken so clearly about the UFO issue, giving it credence and credibility. Now, I'm open to being wrong, so and I'm always, comfortable with standing corrected. So if I'm wrong, show me. Let's talk about it. But to the best of my knowledge, those two statements are correct. But there's a third argument that I will make before we dive into this, going into this month of what's happened so far, and it's only the 28th, so we still have some more days left. There's something I call the accumulation principle as it pertains to the UFO issue. And that is that you can never just make the argument, well, this is just a recycling of things that have happened in the past. This is too reductionist. And I'll explain why. Because anything that happens now is more persuasive and more compelling for the simple fact that it is a continuation of what's happened in the past. So even if you were to make the argument, which I believe is faulty, that we're just recycling the past, that would be reductionist because it's more weight on top of the weight that has been laid in the past decades. And so, the New York Times article came out on December 16th, 2017, and it's already August 28th, 2025. We are not even remotely taking a U-turn. We are not reverting back to the way things were. We are advancing and advancing powerfully. And not only that, we have another UFO hearing coming on September 9th. And we have had more hearings in the past few years than we've had in the past 50. So anyone who says that nothing has changed, maybe they live in a different universe than I do. Let's start with Senator Mike Rounds, who is a powerful Republican senator from South Dakota, who sits on multiple key committees, especially those tied to national security, intelligence, and defense funding. He's deeply positioned to shape how UFO-related activities are overseen, budgeted, and prioritized. Now, this clip is from Coda Territory News, and to be fair, it was on July 29th, so technically it was outside of August, but close enough to where we're just going to throw that in for good measure. Let's play that clip.
On the other hand, there are some items out there that after vetting, either they're telling us a heck of a story or they truly don't know what it is. But it is phenomenal in terms of its capabilities, in terms of speed, some of these objects, the speed at which it moves, the easy way in which it can change directions, the fact that it can be in both underwater and in the air, and it can apparently move to very, very high altitudes as well in a very short period of time. And these folks that are given this information and with the technologies that we've got today, they're not making this stuff up. There's something there, we just don't know what it is.
I was going to say, from the sources that the way you're describing these sources, it sounds like, they have your trust and that what they're telling you is at least truth to them, for what they've seen. Yeah, and there's no reason for them to come in to try to tell us stories. These are folks that are very, very capable. They are brilliant individuals. They fear sometimes that if their whole story got out, they'd lose their jobs. They don't want that to happen. So they'll come in and they'll visit with us in a classified setting with just one or two or three of us there. And our agreement is we will not disclose, and we won't let it get back to their
either the contractor that they work for or to the department that they work for.
So Senator Mike Rounds talked about transmedium capability of UAP, ease of maneuverability. He gave credibility to the witnesses, stated that they're not making it up, and talked about how he met with them privately and protected their confidentiality by not informing the agencies, as I remember, or the corporations they worked for. That's a big deal. And in addition to that, on July 31st, which I admit is a day, is prior to August, but only a day prior to August, another eventful UAP scenario occurred. Matt Laszlo, the journalist of Ask a Poll, spoke to the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer because Chuck Schumer, as well as Mike Rounds, who we just heard from, are reintroducing the UAP Disclosure Act. So Congress is continuing to be interested in the UFO topic. They have not retreated, which is clear from the information we have. So Matt Laszlo said to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, "I saw you introduced your UAP Disclosure Act." Chuck Schumer responded, "Yes, I did." Matt Laszlo responded, "Why? What's the importance of that?" Chuck Schumer responded, "Gotta let people know the truth, whatever it is." And then Matt Laszlo said, "Do you think it will be easier to get it included," referring to the UAP Disclosure Act, "without Congressman Mike Turner around?" To which Chuck Schumer said, "Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope we have a better chance this year." So that was also an eventful. So if we were to include what Chuck Schumer said, that would make it 7 events within the month of August. Granted, I recognize technically what Mike Rounds said on the news outlet and what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said with Matt Laszlo happened right up to August, but we're just going to include it for good measure. In the following clip from August 1st, Vice President JD Vance goes into the UFO topic. And I don't think a sitting vice president has ever broached UFOs in this way, to this extent, or at all. So that alone would substantiate what I said at the beginning of this video, that things are happening now historically as it pertains to UFOs that has never, ever happened within UFO history.
There are stories that I am particularly focused on, in part just because you talk with your buddies about it. Like, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. That's actually the August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing.
As far as I can assess, there is no reason that Vice President JD Vance isn't able to get the information he wants on UFOs. For starters, Marco Rubio serves as the Secretary of State. He's also the acting National Security Advisor and Archivist of the United States, and previously led USAID before its dissolution. This unprecedented consolidation of roles amplifies his reach across the administration, making him one of the most influential figures in U.S. foreign and security policy today. Or J.D. Vance could talk with Secretary or Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Or he could talk with the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe, who we already know has been read into the UFO issue based upon various appearances he's had on news outlets where he discussed UFOs, that we can't replicate their technology, that there has been satellite imagery of these exotic technologies, that we can't defend ourselves against these technologies. He's already made those statements demonstrating he's been read in on the UFO issue when he was the Director of National Intelligence for a stint during Trump's first term, and now he's the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. So it stands to reason he's been read in to the legacy UFO program and UFOs in general. Now, on August 6th, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who's in charge of every intelligence community agency within the entire U.S. government, went on the podcast Podforce One with Miranda Devine. We're going to play that clip, and I'm going to give you commentary. Now, there's something I realized about that clip after I did my video on her saying things about UFOs that I really want to go over now that I didn't have a chance to go over before because I didn't have clarity on the significance of what she said. So we're going to cover that as well. Let's play that clip.
UFOs. There's been a lot of...
My husband is in the corner, for the record, pumping his fist right now that you're asking this question.
So, I mean, is there anything... We've had some declassification of some very strange videos that look like they are, unidentified flying objects. Is there anything in the files that you think you could find or you have found?
Nothing that I'm prepared to talk about today.
Ooh. So watch this space.
Say what?
Watch this space.
We are I'm just going to say this. We're continuing to look for the truth and share that truth with the American people.
The truth is out there.
Yes, it is.
So do you believe that there could be aliens?
I honestly, like, my personal belief. I have my own views and opinions.
Right.
In this role, I got to be careful with what I share.
Very interesting.
So Miranda Devine asked DNI Tulsi Gabbard, "Do you believe there could be aliens?" And she responded, "I have my own opinions on this, but I have to be careful what I say based upon my position as DNI." That is so revealing to me. And think of this. Think of it this way. Why would she have to be careful what she says if she was completely in the dark about what the U.S. government knows about non-human intelligences? The fact that she said, I have to be careful what I say based upon my position as DNI is highly suggestive, in my opinion, that she is not in the dark. She's been read into the UFO issue, and she can only really share her personal opinions, but she can't share what she's learned through the clearances she has been given as Director of National Intelligence.
I'm laughing. My husband's laughing in the corner because we have these same conversations, and obviously I don't share any classified information outside of my building with those who have clearances. But this is fun that he's here to watch this right now
because it's so interesting. I think it's one of those burning things.
Of course,
we grew up with.
Of course, there are a lot of questions. And there's a lot that's been put out there, and there's, I'm still going through and looking through what do we know and what is it that we don't know.
On August 12th, 2025, the current head of AARO, Jon Kosloski, went on Star Talk with host Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is an event that I've been meaning to cover, and I might cover it in more depth in an individual video, but we're going to look at it within the framework of this video, underscoring how historical this month of August has been for the UFO issue. Let's take a look.
There are a few triangles that have been seen by local law enforcement.
These are glowing triangles in the sky.
In this case, very, very black triangle, triangular prism. So it looks like a pie slice, hovering about the size of a Prius, about 40 to 60 meters away. So as the officer was driving up to investigate underneath a glowing orb, which I'll get to those in a second.
I am so afraid right now. I want a bunker. Can I get a bunker for Christmas?
I'm worried enough about the damn triangle. No, it's below orbs. Okay. All right. Now I'm scared. Okay, go.
He slammed on his brakes, and this thing the size of a Prius, blacker than black, reared up 45 degrees and then shot up into the sky faster than anything he'd ever seen. Mm-hmm. And as it was leaving his sight, it shot out red and blue fireworks, flares, so bright it lit up the inside of his vehicle. He didn't see any propulsion, no wind, didn't hear anything over the sound of his own vehicle.
And you have more than one of these sightings?
We have a few others, one from local law enforcement, some from the...
He was not able to get a picture.
No, I thought...
No dash cam, unfortunately.
How unfortunate.
Yes.
Okay,
That's our luck.
they've got chest cams.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but
You got to give all of law enforcement UAP cams.
Right.
so we're working
Very disappointed
giving
here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I am getting
You're
it.
on it. Yeah, yeah.
You on a roll.
We got to equip folks. You're absolutely
Well,
right.
I am so disappointed here.
Yeah. Yeah. So there have been cases, triangles, there have been cases of large orbs seen hovering a few
Why
hundred
didn't
feet.
the officer turn on their forward dash cam?
In this case, he slammed on his brakes. It happened almost instantaneously, and he was terrified. He didn't know what was
He
happening.
knew enough to notice it
Right.
and respond by putting on his
You
brakes.
couldn't just get the pull over, please. You couldn't do that. You can't do that. I throw a gum wrapper out and I get that.
I'm just saying he had enough time to think about it, put on his brakes. If I see a triangle prism, I'm photographing it.
I know, but it's out of fear, maybe. Like people are skeptical because they don't want to confront something they don't understand.
In this case, I don't think he was skeptical. He was terrified for his life. And so he was just getting back to a safe position. That's what that was.
Did he
I
go
don't
in
judge-
reverse?
He did. 100 miles an hour backwards while on the phone with his sergeant the whole time.
On the phone,
Yeah.
going backwards.
Yeah.
He
was
can't
terrified.
stop and take a picture?
I don't think that's what your
Give me this
training
guy.
tells you.
Give me this guy's name and badge number.
You're gonna get-
I want his badge number right now.
I'm not sure that'll go
He's
well
out.
for you.
Wait, there was a floating orb thing. Glowing floating orbs.
In that same region of the country, a couple law enforcement officers had seen glowing orbs.
Objectively, I don't think what head of AARO, the UFO study program in the Pentagon, Jon Kosloski said about these UFO triangle events is trivial. I realize that Neil deGrasse Tyson and his co-hosts were laughing, making jokes about it, undermining it, but we did not see that energy or that analysis with Jon Kosloski. In fact, Jon Kosloski pushed back. He said that the police officer was scared for his life. When one of the hosts said, well, why didn't he take a photograph? Jon Kosloski said, I don't think that's what they're trained to do in a situation like that. Jon Kosloski said that he reversed at 100 miles an hour while on the phone with his superior. And so I'm not claiming that Jon Kosloski or AARO are necessarily the biggest advocates for the hypothesis that UAP stem from non-human intelligence. What I am saying is this seems to be a evolutionary stance by the U.S. government, because Jon Kosloski is not an ex-employee of the U.S. government. He is a current employee for the U.S. government. So in a sense, he speaks for the U.S. government. He is the head of AARO, the UFO study program in the Pentagon. And he was not analyzing these events in a disparaging or dismissive way. I do think that is incredibly significant and represents a new trajectory the U.S. government is on with the UFO issue.
More than 1 billion high-resolution photos are uploaded to the internet every day that people obtain with their smartphones around the world. So it seems to me if there were aliens visiting us, it would be crowdsourced without your prompting. We'd have pictures of flying saucers, and there wouldn't be a fuzzy dot in an infrared camera in a restricted area. We would be flooded with data. And so do you have any insights or a sense of people's urge to want to be visited by aliens?
I don't have any brilliant insights. I'm just a lowly engineer. I think that it's an exciting prospect. It's the possibility of the unknown. It's the possibility that there could be something coming next that we don't have access to now. People want to look forward to something. Maybe that's what it is. But in regards to the data, a cell phone's an awfully small camera. And so if extraterrestrials were coming here, the chances that they're going to be within 50 feet of that camera are pretty small.
So I like that also. He, the head of AARO, Jon Kosloski, pushed back to Neil deGrasse Tyson, giving the impression that getting that perfect photograph of a UAP is not as easy as Neil deGrasse Tyson makes it sound. He underscored that smartphone cameras are small when it comes to documenting ideal evidence of UAP. Now, I'll just close this section, but we're going to go into new sections in a bit with something that I kind of typed out to help clarify my position. And I quote, "What Jon Kosloski did on Star Talk is unprecedented. He's the current head of AARO, the official Pentagon office tasked with investigating UAPs. And he spoke publicly, calmly, and seriously about the phenomenon in a mainstream science setting. Now, yes, some might say, haven't officials already said there are unexplained UAP events? And it's true, statements like that have been made in hearings and reports. But here's the distinction. Those moments were brief, bureaucratic, and tightly worded. What Kosloski did was different. He engaged the subject at length in front of a mainstream science audience and treated it with real intellectual weight. Some might also point to Project Blue Book or J. Allen Hynek, but Blue Book, while run by the Air Force, consistently downplayed the topic. And Hynek, though he later became a serious advocate, didn't speak that way while he was under government contract. His shift came after Blue Book ended. Kosloski is doing this while still in office as an active Pentagon official. We've never seen that before, not under Blue Book, not under ATIP, not under any previous program. This is new ground. So I agree with that. If someone wants to rebut and tell me where I'm wrong, fine, but all I ask is that it's a good faith rebut and it's persuasive, not just desperation. So anyways, and Kosloski, during a media roundtable a while back, also said that as someone with, I think he said, as someone with a physics background and an engineering background, I've seen data that I cannot explain, nor can anyone else I know of explain regarding UAP. So he has given credence to the UFO issue in a way that I don't think anyone in his position or any position like his has done in the past. So I think that people who have been so adamant to say that this is just a recycling of the past, their argument is becoming less and less credible and persuasive with every passing month. And that's my position right now, although I am open to being persuaded otherwise. Let's continue this video. Now, on August 13th, Representative Paulina Luna of Florida went on the Joe Rogan podcast. And she said a lot of interesting things about UAP. And as I recall, her appearance kind of went viral. Many news outlets covered what she said. So I'm just going to give you a summary of some of the interesting things she said. And then we'll move on with all the other things that have happened in August. And I quote, "On August 13th, Representative Paulina Luna appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience and made some of the most direct claims we've heard from a sitting member of Congress about the UFO issue. She stated that while she hasn't personally seen a portal or a craft, she has seen photo documentation in a skiff that she believes depicts technology not made by mankind. She emphasized that her confidence is based on both classified photos and credible witness testimony, including reports of movement that defies our understanding of time and space. Luna also described a stunning incident at Eglin Air Force Base. She, along with Representative Matt Gaetz and Tim Burchett, traveled there after Gaetz was contacted by multiple pilots claiming there was a cover-up of UAP activity in the Florida Panhandle. According to Luna, the Pentagon tried to cancel their visit, but Gaetz used his leverage on the Armed Services Committee to keep the meeting alive. Once on base, the delegation was stonewalled, briefed about Chinese spy balloons instead of UAPs, denied access to pilots, and told they didn't have a clearance for certain programs. Things escalated inside the skiff when the base commander told them outright that he would not allow access to the witnesses or data. During the tense exchange, Luna says the commander blurted out something to the effect of, "They're going to be happy I'm not telling you this," as if thinking out loud. Moments later, he literally walked out of the meeting and left the base entirely, supposedly going on leave to Georgia. According to Luna, that kind of mid-delegation departure is virtually unheard of. Eventually, they were granted a single pilot briefing, and Luna strongly implied that what they were told confirmed the existence of craft or technology that was not human-made. While she couldn't go into full detail, she said plainly, "I'll let you infer," end quote. On August 14th, the administrator of NASA, Sean Duffy, treated the UFO issue very seriously and said some very serious things about the topic. Let's play that clip.
Tulsi Gabbard this week talked about the fact that aliens could be real and she might want to declassify a few things. Now, all I can tell you is what I know, Duffy. We know the drones are not from New Jersey because they've been using their blinkers. Now what?
Well, first off, Jimmy, saw the drones. The drones are real, right? I don't think we had the accoutrements in position to actually see what that was. But
okay.
But say what? I just want to be really clear. I haven't had the alien briefing yet, but I've asked for it.
Okay.
So I can't comment on it. And I can't wait to come back and talk about the highly classified information on your show. I'm going to get in this briefing. And by the way, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But actually, you know what I do? I mean, I think we're in a space right now in America that we want transparency. I mean, people do, you know, and there's decisions that have to be made, but as much as if feasibly possible, we want to share as much information with the American people.
So I do think NASA Administrator Sean Duffy was both being humorous and being completely and utterly serious at the same time. What he stated gives the strong impression that he is not in the dark about UFOs. Does that mean he's been he's had people whisper in his ear? It's real. People in high positions, I don't know, but he's not in the dark. He has some clarity on the topic from what he said, from my read on what he said. And the reason I don't think he was entirely being humorous is because he said, we are in a space right now where we want transparency. He said, decisions have to be made. And he said that the U.S. government should share as much as feasibly possible. Those aren't jokes. That's not humor. That's a very serious treatment. And he gives the impression that there is something to share because there's a there. He's not brushing the topic aside remotely. And he's the administrator of NASA. So yes, we can realistically count this as one more huge development within the UFO historical record within the month of August. So here's a quick recap of Awesome August. On July 29th, 2025, Senator Mike Rounds spoke soberly about the topic. I think it was July 31st, Senator Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, he said that the American people have a right to know the truth, whatever it is. Him and Rounds are pushing to get the UAP disclosure passed. Then on August 6th, DNI Tulsi Gabbard on Podcast One with Miranda Devine spoke soberly about the UFO topic, as we covered. On August 12th, the head of AARO, Jon Kosloski, went on Star Talk, said very interesting things about UFOs with the host, Neil deGrasse Tyson. On August 13th, Representative Luna Paulina of Florida went on the Joe Rogan Experience. She said interesting stuff. On August 14th, the administrator of NASA, Sean Duffy, gave credence to the UFO topic. And as it so happens, August 28th, Stanford scientist Dr. Gary Nolan has gone on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, I grant you, Dr. Gary Nolan is not a government official, but it's still significant because the Joe Rogan podcast has such an extraordinary reach. I haven't watched the episode, obviously. I've been busy making this video, but we could perceive this as some icing on the cake of everything that's happened in August. Now, I know the rebuttal for many is going to be, oh, great, but this is just all talk. Where's the proof? And I couldn't agree more. We need proof, right? We are not going to get disclosure without proof, and there is no disclosure without proof. But I'm not making the argument that we had disclosure, and I'm not making the argument that we've been given proof. I'm making the argument that the month of August has been historically tectonic when it comes to the UFO history and underscores that we are on a new trajectory and that we have not retreated from the third gear that we started to go in that began back in December 16th, 2017, when the New York Times article was published. We are going in the right direction. Disclosure is a process. It's not an event. UFO confirmation is an event, right? UFO confirmation is when we get smoking gun evidence and the debate about whether or not we're alone in the universe and being engaged by non-human intelligence is over. We haven't passed that threshold. I'm not pretending that we have. And we need to get the UAP Disclosure Act. We have a new hearing on September 9th with high caliber witnesses. That will, in my opinion, be very powerful and will put pressure on Congress to get the UAP Disclosure Act passed, because you can't keep having these whistleblowers coming forward who are risking their lives, who are risking their careers. And I think every time they come forward, they probably lose their jobs at financial, and that creates a financial burden for them. But they do it anyways because they believe that the American people and the world at large have a right to know their place in the universe. So these upcoming hearings are only going to add fuel to the fire in the disclosure process we're in. And I know a lot of people are getting impatient, and I'm sympathetic to that. But you have to be balanced. If the only thing that matters is disclosure, then nothing prior to disclosure matters. And that's a very bizarre analysis of the situation. Yes, the climax is disclosure, and that will be the world-changing event, or I should say confirmation. But what's leading up to confirmation is still going to be is still historically valuable and will be looked over by historians for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So let's try to keep things in perspective. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, because I'm going to continue uploading very fine content on this topic. If you'd like to support this channel, you could become a patron, you could become a YouTube member, you could give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities can be accessed in the description box below, or you can just slap a like on this bad boy, and I'll appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all YouTube members, patrons, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.